Alright, so in this video I'm going to show you how to upload your file to the Glowforge or our laser engraver. This is out of the Easel software. So basically all the instructions are on how to do website. So if you go over to where machines is, there's going to be a link right here to this video. But this is just combining the Easel video here on how to download the file when you're done with it, and then combining that with the login to the Glowforge. So this is all already available to you, but this video is going to combine the two together a little bit. So here's my example that I was working with. Here's a box example. The reason I'm doing that is because a lot of us are doing the acrylic uplighting. There's also a lot more that can go wrong with these, and I'm going to show you a couple things to check before you turn anything in. And then I also have the acrylic sheet down at the bottom, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit as well. So some of the things that you definitely need to check before you're ready to send it to the Glowforge is make sure that the size of the slot is right for the acrylic. Our acrylic is 1/8 of an inch deep, or in depth there, so that's 0.125. And whatever your width is here, it's going to have to match up with the width of your object for the acrylic. So since I had 4 there, this box I made 4 inches as well, okay, for the width. All right, so that's one thing you need to check. Also, this needs to be cut out on path. You do not want to have this filled for the laser cutter. So I'm going to click on path. I'm going to make sure that that's outlined, not shaded in. And that's going to be the same thing with my switch. You're going to have to measure that and make sure that that's outlined as well. And those are usually two things that everyone's going to have on there. The other thing to keep in mind if you're using an Arduino, you're going to need a cord that powers it. So you're going to have to make a hole, and I recommend putting a hole in the side of your shape. So this is like the side of your box, any of these. Put a hole in that so you can go ahead and stick the Arduino plug through, and then that way it's not coming out of a weird part of your box. Okay, so that's a couple things right there. The other thing I'm seeing a lot of on the acrylic sheets is that we're creating a shape that we want engraved on the acrylic, but we're not creating the part that needs to be cut out. So I made a box around mine that I'm going to go all the way through on, and then this part, which I'm going to end up scoring, is at a different height. Okay, and so that's going to import it into the laser different levels. It's the same thing over here. Notice my box pieces are all the way through. Any of my images are not all the way through, and so it's going to import them differently. Okay, so I think I have it done. The only other thing I would mention to check is if I'm going to create a hole for some of those lights. So let's say I have an LED string light on here. You're going to want to make sure that, first of all, those are on path and all the way through. But also the shape, you're going to want the width and the height, whatever that hole size is for those LEDs. So 0.3 barely lets it fit through. So there's my size, and now I have that hole there that's going to allow me to stick that LED through. And you want to make sure that that's right. Okay, so that's another thing to check. I'm just going to delete that because I don't actually want that on my project. Okay, so I'm ready. I'm going to go ahead and download this file. So I'm going to go to File, Download Zip. Okay, for mine, I have 2 work pieces, so I'm going to want to do all work pieces. If you only have one, you can select current. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to go all work pieces, download zip file. Notice it's going to pop up on the bottom down here. Okay, so I'm just going to click on that arrow and click on Show in Folder. It's going to show that folder where it's at. Here's my video example. Okay, so I'm going to double click in that. Here's a folder. I'm going to double click again. Workpiece 1 is probably going to be this first one right here, the box. And workpiece 2 is going to be the acrylic piece. So I'm going to import them one at a time. I'm going to print them separately. So I'm going to start with workpiece 1. I'm going to double click that. This is the file that I need. Now yours might say Inkscape, that's fine, instead of Chrome HTML. Inkscape's totally okay. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize all my screens except for this folder. I'm going to click and I can just drag that to the desktop. Now if I look, my file is right there on my desktop. Okay, so now I can go ahead and open up the app. So I'm going to go back into my screen here, and the login is just app.glowforge.com, and it's going to bring you to this website. Okay, now your logins are going to be different according to what school you're at. So if I go over to the login information on my help screen, okay, it says go to that website. Here's that screen that you're looking at. Julian, you're going to use this information. Brooks, you're going to use this information. So I'm just going to go ahead and use Brooks since that's where I'm currently at. Then I'm going to go to my password, which is OakPark97 right here. And I'm going to sign in. Okay. Now all I got to do is click upload. I'm going to go get that file. And since I put it on the desktop, here's my desktop. Here's my design. I'm going to click on that and hit open. And it's going to upload that into the Glowforge. Okay. Now, a couple things I want you to do before you check it in with me, and before you check it in with a teacher. You're going to go ahead and make sure you select the wood type. So I'm just going to use medium basswood plywood. Okay, and then you're going to tell everything what you want it to do. So I want to cut my box out, so that's good. I'm going to engrave the lettering. That works fine. And then my smiley face is engraved. Maybe I want to score that. I'm going to click score, and that can score it. And you can see what it looks like when you end up choosing that. If there's a piece of wood in there, you can start arranging your shapes a little bit so it fits the box well. We want to maximize the space of the wood that we have. And so really trying to squeeze things together, but making sure that they don't overlap. So you can see that they're not overlapping anywhere. We should be okay with that. When you get to this point, this is when you need to check it in with the teacher. We'll look it over, and then we will say, yeah, you're ready, or no, you need to think about something else.